I get the reason why studios might be like, good movie, let's do a PG-13, a 12A version, but it's more than a little bit of a dick slap when that movie is cube and the end result has been crafted specifically for the intelligence level of a 12 or 13-year-old. Imagine Saw with all the sharp edges literally filed down, like that's what we're working with here. No, really, Escape Room plays like the Sci-Fi Channel wanted to rip off the Cube and the Saw franchises, but it couldn't find a time slot after 5 PM to air it in, you know? Everything about it is just the safest, dullest, least interesting version of itself that it can be. It has all the characterization of a sort of made-for-the-Disney Channel kind of flick, and when it comes down to it, it just lacks even the basic intelligence to play as anything other than Willy Wonka and the Murder Factory. Except all the murders take place off-screen because, God forbid, they have to deal with like showing any kind of suffering or gore. The basic premise can fit on a cocktail napkin. It's a group of mismatched strangers who come together for a new escape room type game, only to discover the puzzles are in fact like death traps, and solving one room will take you through to the next, and hopefully the next leap will be the leap home, you know, all that stuff. Not sparklingly original, though admittedly I'm going to draw kind of a special kind of laugh from seeing how many low-rank critics put up reviews for this, having mistakenly torrented the made-for-like video-on-demand version with the exact same name and the exact same premise that happened to get released last year. You've got what's basically a no-name cast, save for like Tyler Labine and Deborah Ann Woll from Daredevil, and everyone else just seems to be like a phoned-in Poundland version of someone recognizable. So like there's a South Asian nerd played by some guy, because, you know, Karen Sony was presumably busy, and there's a young gifted black female lead played by somebody, because Amanda Stenberg's got too much on, and Jay Ellis in for Lakeith Stanfield, Logan Miller in for Nick Robinson. It kind of just goes on like that. I mean, you put that name cast together, they might be able to make a script this ridiculous work. You put this cast together though, and well, you get Escape Room. Ain't nobody got time for Escape Room unless they're 12 years old and their parents just really care about age ratings. The pacing's terrible, the dialogue's just like laugh out loud, hilarious, and whosoever thought they could swing for a stylistic beat from the 1997 remake of House on Haunted Hill really takes the show don't tell mantra absolutely the wrong way when it takes a 3-character voiceover to establish the concept of an escape room. A concept that can literally be explained by the actual words, escape room. There's some fleeting fun to be had. I mean, there's a couple of the traps the characters have to solve, like there's one room that's like an upside down dive bar, and that's actually kind of gripping, and it's just never fun enough to skirt by just being so terribly written though. I mean, it's not hard to create basically likable archetypes. The Final Destination and Saw and The Purge and even the Wrong Turn franchises, you know, they basically built entire franchises just on the back of those kind of archetypical characters. But those movies at least got what they were, and Escape Room just can't get a handle on itself. It genuinely does play like it's a horror movie for children. But it constantly insists that it's more than that. Like, this is a film for grown-ups. Just, you know, not ones who can handle seeing blood or hear cursing or witness death or psychological terror or any of that old nonsense, you know? You can see the obvious story reveals coming a mile off, and the resolution manages to be unsatisfying and predictable and patronizing and rushed all at the same time. It's kind of like eating at Subway. But probably the biggest issue with Escape Room is that it's visibly free of any kind of creative passion, and that's surely an essential element for any mainstream studio horror flick now, right? I mean, I'm a big fan of Happy Death Day, for example, right? Okay, not a great movie, decent fun, but when you watch it, you actually can feel that everybody involved in making it actually gave a shit that they were. Escape Room instead plays with like all the underlying energy of having to help your buddy move house or driving your mom to the airport. And if the cast and crew have like no discernible interest in being there, then, well, why the hell should you? To be honest though, that creative apathy could easily be pinned down as a point of origin to director Abin Robitel. He previously gave us Insidious: The Last Key, which was a movie even Insidious fans weren't bothered about, and Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension, which even Paranormal Activity fans weren't bothered about, and The Taking of Deborah Logan, which exists. They were all uninvolving low-energy productions too, and I'm more than a little inclined to put it down to the obvious link here. Escape Room, though, might prove like his least effective work to date. I mean, this is sunk even quicker than usual by just this astonishingly inept screenplay by TV writer Maria Melnick and the man who gave us Nicolas Cage's Season of the Witch, Bragi Schutt. I mean, if we're being really honest about this thing, it's a $9 million horror flick with a generic enough premise and appeal that'll pretty much no doubt make decent bank. Hell, they're obviously aware of it behind the scenes too, because, well, they even take the time to stitch on a pretty terrible sequel setup too. I genuinely hope we never get that sequel, though. I mean, we will. I'd put money on it, but Escape Room's so stuck in the past. It's kind of a relic of the conveyor belt. It'll do, horror content that studios used to fart out all the time in the early 2000s. I mean, you'll find yourself desperately hoping this sort of would-be franchise kind of dies on the vine right here, right now. I went and revisited the first Cube movie after seeing Escape Room, and that absolutely still holds up. Great little movie with some nifty ideas and a great look. I really enjoyed it. Escape Room is not a great movie. It has no ideas of its own, and aside from having obviously been made on the cheap, you'll recall next to nothing from it in the way of imagery. You'll pretty much just want to escape the screen by the end of the first reel. I mean, 2 stars for a couple of fun traps, but I'll never watch this again. I'll take that Cube reboot and the Jigsaw sequel though, cause effort. A movie I'd heard about meanwhile, but wasn't quite prepared for, Burning. That lands in cinemas this week too. So it's a Korean drama from Lee Chang-Dong, and it stars Yoo Ah-in as a young dude he's in love with the former childhood BFF, who she returns from her holiday with a new boyfriend. She's Jong-Seo, the boyfriend Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead, and before you know it, she's disappeared, and our hero's got some conspiracy theories. Boilerplate concept, granted, but actually a really damn good movie. For starters, it's really sharply cast. Yeun makes a cleverly withdrawn lead, his standoffish nature sort of unfurls at the same rate of his desperation, and Jeon's just got full-blown manic pixie dream girl appeal, and Stephen Yeun's straight badass in this. Little odd at first, seeing Yoon actually playing a Korean in Korea, because I'm so used to seeing him in Western productions, but he's great. The film itself's got something of a Blue Ruin style appeal to it. Lee Chang-Dong's got a good eye for combining dramatic elements with the more stock thriller-like tropes. There's some stunning visuals from Hong Hyun-pyo, and I'm a big fan of Mauk's score here, which at one point just goes full David Lynch for a moment, just to punctuate a drug sequence, so rock on there, this was slick. Nowhere near as predictable as you'd expect from the concept, and genuinely investable by virtue of some solid writing and a really great cast. 4 stars from me for Burning. I thought it was tremendous. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review.